Okay, since I'm live, okay, we'll just wait few more minutes so everyone joins in and we will start right away. Okay, I think we should get started now. All right. Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome to Duolearn. This is first day of which is going to be a 3 day session where we are going to build a Discord bot. So this is the day one of it where we're going to explore JavaScript. Okay, I'll introduce myself first. So yeah, I'm Dev and I'm a co-founder at Duolearn, and today we'll be exploring JavaScript fundamentals together. Now, why are we learning JavaScript? So we could be building this bot with practically almost most of the major languages there are, right? We could be building it with Java, we could be building it with Python, but we have chosen JavaScript. Now the reason is that JavaScript can help you build web applications entirely, like full-blown web applications with just knowing one single language, JavaScript. Not only is that the reason, but also the increasing trending on JavaScript, and also how the opportunities are expanding in JavaScript. So these are the few reasons we are going to go with JavaScript. Okay, so few things I need to make clear about this session now before going on to teaching you this is how are you going to get certificate, right? So certificate will be given to people who fill a form that is shared at the end of the session, and another thing is about the quiz. So we have quizzes that you can take part in, which will be based on the sessions on the session itself. Let me correct this screen. Okay, cool. So, first thing you want to know is that by participating in quizzes, you can make sure that you have understood the concepts properly and see if there has been any gaps in your understanding, as well as we will also explore what is the correct answer to a question is. So, and the person who answers the correct answers the most will get a Duolearn kit like this. So this is a email sent to us after we have sent the kit. So the kit includes, a Duolearn logo textbook, sorry, notebook, and a T-shirt, our custom design notebook, and few stickers here and there. So this is what you're going to get in Duolearn kit basically. So yeah, you have to participate in all the questions and you have to try to get the answers most. And this is not based on one day, so this is like cumulative of all the 3 days, based on how many answers you correct answers you make on all three sessions, you're going to get this kit. Okay, so I have that was clear. Now let's dig into JavaScript, right? So JavaScript was created by this guy, Brendan Eich. So he was the person who created JavaScript in just 10 days because he wanted to launch a browser called Netscape into the beta version, right? So he came up with this language really quickly in 10 days and launched his browser. As a pretty interesting person, he's also the founder of Mozilla project, and you might have also heard the Brave browser. He's also the co-founder of that, probably the CEO as well. So yeah, pretty interesting guy. So he created JavaScript. Let's talk about where we else we use JavaScript, right? So JavaScript is primarily used in web applications, is what we know, right? So uh, we can take the exact platform that we're using right now, the very platform we're watching the stream, YouTube, or if you're on our platform, it's also built with the power of JavaScript, right? So the entire app, the all complex components interacting with each other is all built with JavaScript in one way or the other. Okay, so let's see. So JavaScript is a programming language, right? So let's explore the idea of why do we need a programming language. Um, so computers only understand zeros and ones, right? So those are the only things they can understand, only instructions they can understand. And to give them instructions at such a low level, zeros and ones, it's harder for us. It's not feasible, I would say. But what if we developed a better higher level language which is easy to understand when you look at it, but also can be understood by the computer, right? Something like English. Um, yeah, but computers cannot understand English directly. So that's why we have come up with programming languages, which are basically consisted of English words, but are then translated into instructions that computer can understand, right? So that was the programming language gets transpiled or basically compiled into a language the computer can understand. So we have things called compiler or interpreters that convert these things into language that computers can understand. Okay. So I hope the language, why do we need this is clear, and what JavaScript is clear. Now let's go into understanding the language itself. Now let's dive directly into the language. So in order for us to work with JavaScript, we are not going to use any fancy editor or any platform, right? Because since JavaScript is built in all the browsers, we are going to do directly in the browser itself. Okay, so if you're following along with me, all you need to do is open up a browser and preferably Chrome. Just right click on anywhere on the screen, okay, in a new tab, and click on inspect. Once you click on that, you will get this developer tools window. What you need to do from here is go to console, and this is a JavaScript console. What this means is this is basically an interactive shell. Okay, whatever JavaScript you write, you will get immediate output of it. So one statement we can do is, and what statements are these, right? Well, let's clear what statements are. So let's take a language, any language, the language we speak. For example, English. In English, how do you say? In English, we can say today is Wednesday, right? But you cannot tell that to a computer and expect it to understand it, right? So those things can be converted into statements that computers can understand, such as this: let today equals to Wednesday. Okay, so there it is, your first line of code, which tells the computer that today is Wednesday. Not exactly telling it the date, but we will explore this idea soon. Yeah, so that's basically how you can tell something to a computer, right? You tell it in the form of statements, in the form of expressions like this. So let's press enter. So what just happened is we ran this expression into JavaScript interpreter or compiler, whatever's running inside the browser. How do we now let's access today, right? If I type today and press enter, oh my bad, it's not. I made a typo. It should be today is Wednesday. Now let's type today and you'll see that it says today is Wednesday. So what we just did is assign something called Wednesday to a variable called today. Okay, so what variables are? So you can imagine variables as boxes that can hold some values. Okay, and then you're going to put label on them. So in our case, our box has a value of Wednesday and label today. So when you take the box label today, you see that there's Wednesday string inside of it. Okay. Okay. So the next thing we have to understand is how exactly is this getting processed, right? So programming languages usually break this all of the words we give it to it into chunks to understand what the instruction is about, right? So here we see that the first word is let. As soon as the interpreter sees this, it's going to assume that you're about to create a variable, okay? And then it expects that you give the name of the variable, which will be today, and then it expects you that you give it an assignment operator. So this is an assignment operator, which means you're assigning something on the left hand side, whatever the variable name is, and the value is on the right hand side, which is Wednesday. You'll notice that I've put Wednesday in single quotes, which means that this is a string literal. And string literal is just nothing but a data type. Okay, so in variables, we can store a bunch of different data types, and string is just one of them. So string is basically, a bunch of characters together. Uh, or you can simply put it's a textual content put in a variable, right? Anything that is text, any text, hi, bye, all the text you can think of, it's stored as string literals. Okay, now let's explore more variables, more data types, right? Let's say that age equals to 40. So this here is a number, right? This is a number type. And you can see that there are no quotes to it, right? You do not need to provide quotes or else it will become string, and they are not the same. You will not be able to do mathematical operations, such as adding, subtracting numbers, with as you expect when you do this. Okay, it has to be without the codes for you to do proper mathematical operations. So this is a number type. Let's explore one more type. Is approved is true. Okay. So what this means is we created a variable is approved and assigned true to it. True is a boolean. So there are only two type of booleans you can assign, true and false. So just like let, true and false are special keywords or keywords that have special meaning in the language. Okay, and these are things that you cannot name your variables with as well. So if we try to do let false equals to Wednesday, let's see what happens. We'll get an error, right? Because it does not did not expect the token false to come here, right? But because that token is a reserve, it expects you to give a proper variable name. Okay, now let's define what a proper variable name is, right? Okay, from here onwards, I'm going to create snippets. Okay, so once you open the web, this developer tools, head to sources, and you can create a snippet over here. I've already created one, so let me just remove it. So we can create here, just give it name index, doesn't matter what the name you give. So here you can write JavaScript, bunch of JavaScript together and run it at once. Okay. Uh, Instead of how we were doing it in console, where you have to keep typing all of your statements one by one. So in snippets, you can write all of the code you want at once and then run it once together. Okay, so where were we? So we learned that you can uh, give different type of data types or different type of data to variables. So let's say name Dave, let age be 50. Obviously, I'm not 50, but let's just say let age is equals to 50, which is a number literal. This is string, sorry, just number. And then is approved equals to true. So this is a Boolean type. Then we have, so if we do not give assign anything, the variables will be something called undefined, right? Which means the variable is existing, but it's not defined yet. So it will be like, let's say, liked movies. Now let's run this. Let's see if we can access these variables here. Yes. So there is an operator in JavaScript called typeof, which gives you what the type of a variable is. Okay, let's say type of name. Make sure to not give a space after type. So type of is a single word, which is an operator. After that, you have to give a space and give the name of the variable. So in our case, let's see name and press enter. You see it returns, it is a string. Okay, let's try with more. Type of age is number. Cool. As expected, let's do type of is approved is boolean. Okay, let's see type of like movies. You can see that it is undefined because we have not given a value to it. Now there's one more type, one more primitive type. There is null. Let like books equals to null, and let's do a type of like books. It's an object, you know. So it doesn't say it is null. This is generally considered a little flaw in JavaScript, where initially the null was considered an object in the initial implementation of JavaScript, and it has just been kind of been continued on, but and it says it's an object, while it's not an object. It's basically a value that tells you there is nothing in it. Okay, there's difference between undefined and null. Undefined is something that will be kind of there when you do not define anything. And null is something you put intentionally telling, hey, there are no like books. Okay, so these are the primitive data types. So now we will later on explore more reference typed data types as well. But before we move on, it's time for a quiz. So you have to make sure that you are logged in at app.duolearn.tech. And once you're here, you will see an ongoing workshop. Once you're logged in, you should show this. You should see this, and you click on enroll, continue learning. Then you'll see the today's session, which is day one JavaScript fundamentals. Click on it. So once you click on it, uh, it should show you this. Okay. Now when I activate a quiz, it will show up here. So let me give you the first question, first quiz for today. Just a second. And there you go. You should be able to see this and you can give her the answer. And yes, please do not put the answer in the YouTube chat box. And if you're not able to see the quiz, this probably a bug, I think. Try logging out and logging in, or refresh the page. Either of those should give you the quiz. Now, I hope you answer it right. The correct answer is Brendan Ike. The answer is kind of on my screen itself. Yeah. Uh, so that's the right answer. I'm going to now like disable the quiz. I hope you answered it. If you did not, don't worry if you didn't answer it right. There we're going to have plenty of quizzes throughout the sessions. Okay, it's gone now. Now let's get back. Okay. Uh, if you recall, we were about to talk about the way you can name variables. There are certain rules every language will put that you have to follow to name your variables. Okay, so the first rule is that it should be, this is not a something that's put by the language, but it's a commonly followed rule that it should have a meaning. Okay, so if you just create a variable, let's say let xyz, it has no meaning. Okay, it could be anything. If I say xyz equals to 50, 55, what does that even mean, right? If I say age is 50, oh, we know that age is 50 this way, but what exactly is xyz? And what does 55 signify here, right? So the first rule is that it should have a meaning. Okay, and the next rule is you cannot start with numbers. Okay, so you cannot have variables starting with numbers. You will get a compilation error because the way languages work, when they see the number, they're going to assume that you're invoking a number itself. Most languages. Plus, it's also not. that will have a good naming convention as well. You cannot have spaces or hyphens. Okay, because generally spaces will mean that it's a different keyword altogether. You know, when you use space, it expects the next token to be something than other than else than the variable name. And you can't have hyphens because that basically means subtraction. You know, cool. Then next thing is something called camel keys. Okay, this is something that's only specific to JavaScript and some other languages, where you name your variables like this. You see, liked movies. The first word in the like movies is a two-word variable, and the first word is small letter, right? And the second word is just attached to it, but the first word of the second letter, sorry, the first letter of the second word is capitalized here. Okay, so that's how you read it to understand they are two different words. Okay, great. So there, we just explored the different rules that you have to follow while creating variables. I hope that was clear. Yeah, there's a couple of questions I'll quickly address. Are you gonna cover total JS in this video? The scope of JavaScript in this video is going to be just uh, introductory, where you will have enough knowledge to progress on into the further ideas that we're going to discuss, such as Node.js, Express.js in the upcoming videos, upcoming sessions. So, JavaScript scope of JavaScript is just limited to that in this session. How to participate in the quiz? Please log in to app.dolan.tech. If you do not see workshops there, try logging out and logging in. You should be able to see. And once you're there, you have to get inside these upcoming sessions. Okay. Once you do that, you'll land here where you can watch the video here itself, and the quiz will come up here. Okay. Okay. Now that we have this, let's explore some operations we can do. Okay. So we know these are variables, but how do we actually show it to someone, or print these values? Most languages have a concept of printing something, which means that showing a value on the screen. Okay, so the way you can do that with JavaScript is using something called console, and you call a method. We'll explore what method and all of this stuff is, and you pass in something in this parenthesis. Okay, whatever you pass in here, it's going to be logged over here. Okay, let's try passing in name here. I'm going to pass the variable name inside the console log and run this file. To run this file, if I had not told you before, you can do control or command plus enter, and it will run the file. So you see, they've appeared in the console. This statement, when it ran, it logged whatever the value was inside the name into the console. You can also put values directly in here, like 20. You can see 20 gets logged. You can do maths in JavaScript like this: 20 plus 50, 70. You can also combine strings. So let's say name plus Kumar. So this is how you can combine strings, right? You can add plus and whatever string you want to join. So let's type this. You can see it's Dev Kumar. Combine them. So yeah, these are some operations you can perform on strings and numbers. Okay. Uh, let's see. I think I have a quiz at this point. So All right, I'm going to put this out. So you can see the leaderboard here in real time. So as soon as you uh, answer the question and it is right, you will keep climbing the ladder leaderboard here. And yeah, there's a new rule now. So people who already got the kit might not be getting it again this time. Oh, I closed it. Okay, I still have it. So yeah, guys, so that's about variables and stuff. So let's see how you did the question. Question is what is type of 23? Okay, let's explore this. First, let's run type of 23. What will that give us? I run it in the console, type of 23. You see it returns number, but how does it actually return it, right? What the data type it's returning? It's a string. It's number as a string, okay? A string that has these characters that tells us that, hey, this data type, the variable you are giving me is a number, and this is a string. So what happens if you do type of number, right? It's a string. So basically, type of 23 is string. I hope you got the answer right. And now I will disable it. Okay. I see some of you are not able to see the quiz again. Please just log out, log in, or refresh. It should appear. We're gonna fix that bug tonight. Okay, so far so good. Let's keep moving on. So, what we just explored are simple data types where you can store stuff in a very li linear fashion, right? Like one-liner stuff, and you can store single type of data together. Now let's explore a little more complex kind of data type where you can store information that is related to a particular entity or a particular object together. Okay, so to do that we use something called objects, right? So objects basically just like objects in everyday life as well. Everything is an how everything is almost like an object in real life. We can also create objects in programming languages. So if you take a person as an object, that has its own characteristics, right? A person has its own characteristics, such as an eye color or hair length, hair color, all of those things are characteristics. And then they can also do perform some operations, right? They can walk, they can run, they can speak. These are the th things they can perform. Okay, and in programming terms, what we call these functions as methods, right? Are methods, the methods these objects can perform, and the characteristics are just properties of the object, or keys also, some things you can call them. So I'm going to do this person equals to, this is the notation you use when you want to initialize an object. Okay, so you can press enter like this and specify the properties. So let's say I want the person's name to be Dheeraj. So I can do it like this. Notice that inside the object, the way you give values to property is not with the equal sign, but you use colon. Okay. So you can then give age 50 as well. We can create another person, person 2. We'll call him Rahul, age 40. Okay, so we now have two JavaScript objects here. Now let's see how we can actually access these things, right? These values. So I've run this command. I'm gonna go inside the console now, and let's just type person and press enter. So if you see it, I can see that it has the age and name that we specified over here. Okay, if you want to access a particular object, there are two ways to do it. Okay, one is dot notation, dot notation, and then brackets. You can use bracket. Let me tell you how that works. So you just you first specify the object, you put a dot, and you specify what property do you want to access. I want to access name. Okay, you can do person dot name. Do you want to console log it? Yes, you can do that. Put person dot name inside console log. And now let's run this file. Okay, you see that Dheeraj has been logged. So in console log, if you do comma, you can also put more values that you want to print from person.age. So let's run this. It says Dheeraj 50. Now that's one way of accessing the variables. Oh, sorry, the properties. The second way you can do it is with brackets. So how this works is instead of dot, what you do is you open up these brackets and specify the property you want as a string. Okay, that would be name, and in here that would be brackets string age. And let's do person2 in the second console log. Let's run this. You can see that it has the age 50 and Rahul 40 logged in. Okay, now let's do one more quiz. Just okay, it should be up. Let's see. Yeah. Given a normal JS object person, which has keys such as name and age, which is the right way to access age? Is it this? Is it this? Or is it this? This is like we just saw it. And let me check the how's the leaderboard going on. Okay. I see it's not sorting properly. Tanisha should be at the top. Okay. We have Swagatika at the second, and bunch of other people at third place. Awesome. Okay, let's keep moving. I'll just gonna disable the quiz. Done. And back to coding. Yeah. One more thing, if I didn't explain already, or if you don't know, this is what you call comments. Okay, so if you want to write something about the code or some information you want to put down, which is not necessarily code, you can put this in front of two forward slashes. So when the program reads this, it's going to ignore whatever you wrote and will not compile it into code. Okay, whatever here is going to be converted into instructions and actually be executed in the console, or the output will be given. Okay, so we just explored this. So not only can you access things, but you can also change their values. So let's say person, dot age, you can set the value like this to 21. You can also use the dot notation, sorry, bracket notation to change the values as well, like this. Okay, now if we see person, the age has been changed and person two's name has been changed. So this is how you can mutate these objects. Okay. So the next type we will explore is arrays. Okay. So let's say you have bunch of these persons, right? You have a lot of people. You cannot keep them like this, right? You cannot keep them uh, person defined in single variable. There's another way to do that, which will be called arrays. So what you can do is you can create an array. Let people equals to, and you can pass in objects like this. Now, arrays and objects combining these two concepts might sound confusing. So I'll just do something. Instead of having objects, let's just have an array of strings. Okay. An array is nothing but a list or a linear arrangement of values. So it's like this. Okay, you can store numbers. You can even store strings along with the numbers. There is no restriction that an array should only have this kind of values. Okay, only numbers should be there in one particular array. No, the JavaScript lets you do this uh, without putting restrictions on it. So yeah, this is part of what you call a loosely typed language where the types are not restricted. You have a freedom of assigning anything to anything like that. In here as well, like we assigned let xyz equals to 55. On the very next line, you can do xyz equals to false, and that would be totally fine with the language. Okay, that's because this is not dynamically typed language. Okay, this is a very loosely typed language. Sorry, this is a dynamically typed language, which means you can dynamically assign at any time any value to any variable. So yeah, similarly in an array you can have a bunch of these values which do not have to be of same data type. Question disappeared in a vein. Oh, sorry. We'll keep it a little longer next time. Okay, moving on. How do we actually utilize this array, right? So let's say you want to access in the people the first person, okay, the first one. How can you do that? So you can do it like this. I have run this file. Okay, now I'm gonna continue using the console. So people can specify 0 and you get the first person. So in most programming languages, the indexes of array or basically the placements of array start with 0, meaning this is the 0th place, this is the first place, this is second place, third, fourth, and so on. So that's how most programming languages work. Some exceptions I think are like, I'm not sure, maybe Python, I think, where maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, so but there are programming languages where array indexes start from 1 as well. Then, yeah, can you add more stuff to an object? Yes. So there are methods to array. Okay, when I do dot, you can see that there are bunch of methods. Okay, because array is nothing but an object itself. Okay, it's a type of object. Let's not get confused with it. Let's just assume it is a completely different data type in a way. So what we'll do is we will use a method in it. Okay, push. So you'll open, so any method you want to call, you have to open this set of parentheses and you can pass in something. So I'm gonna push a number, let's say 20. And now if I see people, I have now 6 elements and the last one is 20. Okay, so this is how you add elements. And like I said before, there are other methods, other properties associated with arrays as well. So let's just people.length. That will give you 6, which means there are 6 elements in the people array. Okay, so that is a little bit about arrays. So what generally happens is you'll have an array of let people equals to an empty array, and as goes on in your program, you take inputs from your, let's say, uh, user, and keep that in the array and then show it somewhere as a list of people. So that's a very common use case that I can tell you, which where you can use array. Okay. Yeah, let's take one more quiz at this point of time. Mm, I think we have run out of questions for today. I was expecting there would be more, but yeah, guys, so no more questions, I guess. If you like, let me know. I can create a quick question and put it up. Let me know in the chat. Meanwhile, we'll continue this. Yeah, so the next concept we will explore is a function. So functions are really helpful. I know there's really essential part of any programming languages. What they let us do is take a bunch of statements. Okay, take a bunch of statements, put them in a function, and you can use it anywhere by just calling the function name. What do I mean by that? Let's explore the idea of a function, okay? So in order to create a function, you have to first invoke the uh, keyword, which is function, okay? Then the language expects you to specify the name of function. So I will say, hey, I have this word and I want you to capitalize it, okay? I call it capitalize, okay? And this is the syntax of a function. You specify the word and you have parentheses and you have braces. Okay, the braces is where the actual definition of the function is going to be. What is the function supposed to do? Okay, and in the parentheses you can pass in some input to the function. So our function capitalize expects a string that you want to capitalize. So if I give it Dev, okay, it should give me Dev. The first letter should be capitalized. That's what this function is supposed to do. So how do we do that? So functions have a concept of arguments and parameters. Okay. So first we have to define a parameter. So in here I can define a parameter called string. I just call string for short. And this str string is actually a variable that will be only accessible inside this function. Okay, I cannot console log str outside the function. Okay, because this is not part of this program. Okay, this is part of this function. I cannot access it outside here. So yeah, so just to get started, let's just console log the str. Cool. So now we have our first definition of a function, that is capitalize. All it does right now is whatever you pass it to it as str, it's going to console log it. Okay, let's see how we can actually call a function. Okay, defining will not actually run this statement. Okay, we have to call the function. Capitalize. Okay, I will add more quiz. There's okay, cool. That's nice to hear. capitalize, and we're going to pass in a string. Okay, I'm going to pass in Dave, and I will run this program. Let's see what happens. I'll just, remove these console logs so that we don't get confused. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. Okay, now let's run again. And you can clear the console by clicking this. Okay, now let's run it again. Okay, it's saying the. Now that's a pretty dumb function, I would say, right? It doesn't do anything. Now let us try to make it do something. Now, strings are nothing but an array of characters. Okay, you can uh, think of that like that because let's say I have this Dave here, okay, and if I open bracket like this, and if I do 0, you remember how we accessed 0th element of arrays here? Similarly, you can access 0th character here. Okay, and if I do enter, I get the 0th character, which is basically the first letter of this word. So what we want to do is take the first letter, capitalize it, and then attach the remaining of the uh, you know word. Okay, so this is how it goes. We'll take the first letter. I'll call it first letter str, 0th element. Okay, and I'm going to capitalize it. First letter to uppercase. So up to uppercase is an inbuilt function that is attached to all the string literals, which will convert small letters into uppercase letters. Let's just console log this for now and see if we're actually getting the output. Okay, you can see the half of the thing is achieved. Now the next thing is we're going to utilize another method called slice. Let's see what slice is. Okay, so slice basically can give you selected elements in array. So you can see here there's fruits here, and if you do slice 1 3, what it means is it will give you from first element to the third element. Okay, it will give you likely orange, lemon, and apple. So what we want is something like that. We're going to use slice to get the rest of the letter. Okay, I'll call this let rest equals to str. So we know we already extracted 0, took 0 to into our first letter. Now what we have to do is take from first until the end of the string. Now if you remember, we noticed a method, sorry, a property in arrays that gives us the length of it. So we kind of need that to actually get all the letters. Now let's run this. I'm going to console log rest this time. My bad. I didn't call slice at all. Slice EV. See, I got the rest of the letters I had to. Now let's combine them. Let's combine them. Console log first letter plus rest. Now let's run it. Awesome. We just wrote our first function that capitalizes our words. Now the great thing is you don't have to need these three statements everywhere you want to capitalize something. Okay, you can just call this function and just capitalize anything, any word, any letters, right? You can just do that. Okay, I'm going to put up a quiz now. Let just give me a couple of seconds. I think there was an issue while I was setting it up. I'll just fix it real quickly. Okay, uh, should work. Okay, you have your next question. Is JavaScript a dynamically typed language? I'll take a look at leaderboard Cool. Tanisha is still at the top. We have Swagadika just next. Yes. I think the leaderboard only shows top five people. Okay. Uh, all right. Let me set up the next question. Meanwhile, you guys answer that. Coming up, guys. I'm just gonna set this up. Okay. You should have the next one now. How to same problem. Hmm. Do try refreshing it. Okay. So yeah, we've reached the end of the session. We just have one more concept we have to cover, which is going to be control flow basically. We'll just look into little if else thing, which is very necessary, so that it'll help us build much better logic in our programs. Okay, so you can see this program doesn't really have much logic, decision making or anything based on any input on stuff. So there is something called if else statements that we can do to run programs or run statements based on a certain value or a certain input. Okay, let's see. So I'll create a function called greet. Okay, greet's going to take a name again, and it's just going to say console.log hello name. Okay, so let's just call this greet Dave, and I will run this. It says hello Dave. Okay, so that's all it's doing. Now what we want to do is we want to say, let's say, if the name is Dave, it should say hello Dave. If the name is Charlie, it should say hey Charlie. Okay. If it's something else, it should say hello stranger. That's a pretty simple logic to think about, right? So let's build it. How it's going to work is, So this is the statement. This is the syntax of if, and in the parenthesis you have to give an expression. Okay, an expression is something that's going to evaluate into either true or false inside the bracket. So we have things called things to compare values. So in here, if I do, let's just check in console. Okay, I'll just show you. I'll say let name equals to Dev. Okay, and let's see, is name equals to Dev? It says true. So this is how we compare values. So when you use double or triple equals like this, what you're doing is you're comparing the values. Are they the same? Is name equals Rahul? So it says false. You can also do name is not equals to Dev, which means it's not equal to Dev. It's false because name is equal to Dev. Okay, therefore this is false. Maybe this will make it more if Dev is not equal to Rahul. It's true because name is Dev, therefore it is not Rahul. I hope that was not it's not confusing. So what we have to do here is have to check if the name is Dev, and we have to console log hello hello Dev. Okay, and then we have to check if it's someone else. We're just going to say hey stranger. We'll get back to Charlie. Yeah, so hey stranger. Let's run this. I'm going to call this function twice, once Dev and once Rahul. Okay, no, let's pick Charlie because we're gonna need that. I'll run this. So it says hello Dev and hey stranger. So the first time we ran, the first time the function ran, this statement was evaluated. Okay, this expression was evaluated, and since this was true, the stuff inside this braces is going to run. Okay, all of this is going to run. If this becomes false, the control is going to be into the else. Okay, so it will then say hey stranger. So that's basically how if else works. You can also chain this. So I'll show you what I mean. So we also want to check if the name is Charlie, right? What we can do is we have something called else if. Okay, else if name equals to Charlie, if name is Charlie, then again in the braces we can do console.log hey Charlie. Okay, so this is how it is. Now let's call one more time the greet. This time we will say Rahul. Okay, I'm going to clear the console, run the function, run the code. It says hello Dave, hey Charlie. Okay, that was a typo. And finally, hey stranger. Because Rahul is not equal to Dave or Rahul. Okay, it's neither. So what happens is it checks this. Is it Dave? Then log this. If it's not, is it Charlie then? It's not Charlie, then it goes to else, then it finally logs hey stranger. So you can keep on chaining this, and if none of the if none of your conditions pass, else is going to run. That's why else takes no conditions like this, no uh, basically parenthesis for it to get a condition. Else doesn't need condition because it's the last condition. It's basically when there no condition passes, this code is going to run whatever inside this braces. Okay, so that's a little bit about if else. So these are concepts that are going to be necessary when we're actually going to build our bot. So I'll show you quickly how our bot might look like. So there is a bot called Dank Memer. We're going to be build something like this. Okay, we'll also have a simple page where people can invite our bot into their Discord server. So I've set up a simple dummy Discord server for now. So what happens is when I click on invite now, we're going to open up a similar page like this, and we're going to ask which server do you want to add it to. So I'll say meme bot Discord server. This is the temporary server I created. You click on continue. These are the permissions. This rank memer needs. Okay, we wanna authorize this. Okay, some human check done, and we should have it. Great. So it has command, I think, like slash meme, and doing that, it gives us a meme like this. So yeah, this is going to be the bot we're going to build. So they can add it to their server. They can do some of these commands, and we will get a meme and send it to them. So this is going to be that's the basic idea, but we can add some more features which we will discuss later. So that was about this. You guys need now um, form for the attendance. Let me share it. Just a second, guys. I'm gonna share this. Okay, okay, copy. All right, the form is ready. I'm gonna share it now. Yes, it's coming in the YT. No, not in the comment section, in the chat. Here it is. You can participate in the quiz by going to app.dolan.tech. But we have done all the quizzes now for the day, but you can attend tomorrow's quiz. So, yeah, that's it, guys. That's the end of day one. Tomorrow we'll explore what's Node.js, why do we need Node.js, and a little into Express.js as well. And yeah, so as that is done, from day three, we're gonna build our meme generating bot. Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.